Four people turn to look at you. You know you're right. The answer is already in your head. It's clear, it's clean, it's right there. But it won't come out. The meeting ends at 5. Everyone goes home. Someone stops at the store. Someone forgets it ever happened. And you're still sitting in that meeting room at 9 at night. You say the thing you couldn't say that afternoon. You say it beautifully. Then you think of something even better. So you go back and say that instead. The next morning, you're still in that room. I'm not here to tell you that you need to learn how to communicate. I want to ask you something else. Why did that argument end for everyone except you? And I want to start with a 4-year-old. There's a little kid, 4 years old, who gets hit by another child at school. He doesn't hit back. He doesn't run to the teacher. The teacher comes over and asks what happened, and he won't say. He just cries. Think about that for a second. 4 years old. He's never had a toxic relationship. Nobody has ever manipulated him. He hasn't learned any bitter lesson about how speaking up costs you something. And yet, he does exactly what you do. Here's what I need you to hear. Your silence isn't something you learned. It was already there, from the very beginning. Childhood didn't create it. Childhood only decided how often it switches on. It's this. When danger shows up, the body has 3 options: talk, fight, or run. And when the threat is too big to fight and too close to run from, the body picks the 3rd option. It goes still. That's not a malfunction. That's a feature. It kept our ancestors alive for millions of years. 4 people surrounding you in a meeting is a threat mathematically. Your body counts. It's always counting. But here's where everything goes wrong. For our ancestors, the stillness always had an end. The predator left, the forest went quiet, then the birds started singing again. That was the signal. The body received it, and it reset itself. In London in 1940, people had to do that exact thing by hand. When the planes came, the sirens wailed up and down, and the whole city went into the shelters. But when the planes were gone, they had to sound a second siren. One steady note, held for 2 minutes. That was the all clear, because without that sound, people would just stay down there. The danger was long gone, but nobody dared come out. The human body doesn't know on its own that it's over. It has to be told. Your meeting ended at 5, but nobody sounded the all clear. So you're still in the shelter. Day 2, day 3, day 10. Before we go on, let me say one thing clearly. That stillness is not a flaw. There's an old saying, still waters run deep. That quiet place where you go is exactly where you hold back the words that would have made someone bleed. And it has real power. In 1994, 2 researchers asked people about the times their partner had hurt them. They asked 2 things: what you thought about doing and what you actually did. The gap was huge. What people thought about was far more destructive than what they actually did. Then they tried it again. Same situations, but one group got plenty of time and the other was pushed to respond fast. The rushed group behaved worse. The group with time behaved kinder. Same people, same pain. The only thing that changed was a few seconds. So when you go quiet, you're not broken. The problem is somewhere else. The problem is that you stay in the shelter for 2 weeks. You know the feeling. The anger slowly comes down. Then one day you feel a little better and you speak again. Good morning. Just normal. But it's not the same as before. You both know it. Neither of you says it. Something quietly went missing in those 2 weeks. And here's the cruel part. Those 2 weeks were supposed to heal you. They don't. Research tells us why. In the 80s, John Gottman turned an apartment into a laboratory. He brought couples in, wired them up to heart monitors, and asked them to argue about something real. He found a threshold. When the heart rate goes past 100 beats a minute, the conversation is basically dead. The ability to listen, to understand the other person, to solve the problem, all of it goes offline. Not because people don't want to, because their body is no longer in conversation mode. Gottman put it plainly. The person who goes quiet isn't punishing anyone. The person who goes quiet is trying not to make things worse. Then he tried something. In the middle of the argument, he walked in and said the equipment was broken and needed fixing. He told them to stop discussing their problem. Just read a magazine. For half an hour. The equipment wasn't broken. He lied. To buy their bodies 30 minutes. When they came back, their heart rates were much lower.
They spoke to each other far more kindly. Some of them even said, "I can't even remember what we were fighting about." 30 minutes. A magazine. Nobody learned a single new skill. But there was a condition, and this is the most important part of this whole video. The heart rate only drops if people actually think about something else. If they use the break to replay the fight, to draft their response, to build their case, the heart rate doesn't drop. Now, you might be thinking, hold on, replaying isn't a bad thing. I'm preparing. Next time we meet, I'll be ready. That sounds reasonable. So I want you to try a question. In your head, do you ever lose? Think about it. In all those times you replayed the fight, was there ever a moment when the other person said something that stopped you cold? Was there ever a moment when you thought, yeah, they have a point there? If the answer is never, then you're not preparing. Because real practice has to include the possibility of losing. Actors rehearse in case they forget their lines, but the other person in your head, you write their lines. You give them exactly the words you already know how to beat. That's not rehearsal. That's winning a fight you already lost. And I want to be clear because this is where people blame themselves for the wrong thing. This does not mean you're arrogant. Arrogant people don't replay. They've forgotten. They went home, stopped at the store, slept fine. The fact that you're still replaying it for the 200th time only means it still hurts. You're not trying to prove you're great. You're trying not to be the one who lost. That's protection, not ego. But it still cost you because the body can't tell the difference between a real fight and a fight in your head. The heart rate goes up just the same. So those 2 weeks weren't 2 weeks of rest. They were 2 weeks of being attacked again, every day, by someone who isn't there. And this brings us to the thing I think you most need to hear. Emotions don't live that long on their own. They have to be relit over and over to stay alive. So 2 weeks isn't the time it takes you to cool down. 2 weeks is the time it takes you to get too tired to keep going. The psychologist Alfred Adler said that each of us carries a private set of rules about how the world works. He called it private logic. For people who go quiet when they're hurt, the rule usually sounds like this. My words are weapons, so silence is the only safe way I have to love. Listen to that sentence carefully. That's not the sentence of a cold person. That's the sentence of someone who is afraid of their own mouth. Adler had another idea. When we feel weak in one area, we make up for it somewhere else.
A lot of people feel weak with words. Maybe because every time you said what you felt, it got twisted back into evidence against you. Maybe because one time you spoke in anger and you watched that sentence land on someone's face and you never forgot that face. So you withdraw. That's not cowardice, that's compensation. It's a person protecting the relationship with the only tool they trust. But I have to be honest with you, because comforting you wouldn't actually help. There are 2 versions of the same silence. From the outside, they look identical. The first version is a pause. It has an end. It has a return. It exists so you can find the right words. The second version is a wall. It has no end. And somewhere, very quietly, the purpose changed from protecting the other person to letting the other person know they hurt you. 2 weeks isn't a pause. 2 weeks is a wall. I know that's hard to hear, so here are 3 questions to check yourself. Short ones. Ask them right in the middle of your silence. Who is this silence protecting? Does it have an ending? Does the other person know I'm coming back? If you can't answer one of those 3, then you're not resting anymore, you're building. Now you might say, I'm not replaying anything, I'm just letting the emotion happen, I'm just watching it. And that's exactly the right thing to do. But there's a trap here, and it's incredibly subtle. Watching an emotion and replaying an emotion from the inside, they feel exactly the same. Both feel like you're facing it, not running from it. There's only one way to tell them apart. In your head, is there any dialogue? Real watching has no words. There's nobody else in there. There's just this. My chest feels heavy. My jaw is tight. My stomach is clenched. It's easing a little now. That's it. But if there are sentences in your head, if the other person is there, if there's a scene playing out, then you're not watching the emotion, you're producing it one more time. This isn't your fault. Nobody teaches us to tell those two apart. They're so alike that even the books get it wrong. But once you know how to tell, you have a question you can use tonight. Is there dialogue? Adler had one central idea that his whole life revolved around. He said mental health isn't about how well we understand ourselves, it's about whether we can see the other person. And your silence right now is already an act of care. You're swallowing the words that would hurt someone. You're paying a price alone to keep this relationship from breaking further. That's respect. That's not weakness. But care that no one can see doesn't reach where it needs to go. The other person has a nervous system too, and right now it's asking one single question. Are they still here or are they gone? So here's the small action. You don't need to say what you're feeling. You won't be able to, and that's not your fault. You just need to sound your own all clear. One sentence, two parts. Part 1, name the state. My head is overloaded. I can't find the words yet. Part 2, name the ending. Give me until Monday, then I'll come back to this. That's it. No explaining, no analyzing, no defending. That sentence does two things at once. It tells the other person you haven't left, and it tells your own body that there's a point when this will end. Then, during that time, don't rehearse. Check it with that question. Is there dialogue? If there is, get up, take a walk, wash the dishes, watch something stupid. The break only works when it's actually a break. And if you are the one on the outside waiting for someone who's gone quiet, you'll want to praise them. You're so mature, so good at staying calm. But praise is a judgment. It means you're sitting in the judge's chair. Adler drew a clear line between praise and encouragement. Encouragement doesn't judge. It just stands beside you as an equal. It sounds like this. I can see you're overloaded. I'm not going anywhere. Take the time you need. That's the all clear, sounded for someone who couldn't sound it themselves. And if you have a child who goes quiet and then cries, don't ask, why won't you talk? Sound the all clear for them. You don't have to tell me now. After dinner tonight, I'll ask you one more time. You just gave them an ending. That's the thing you never had for all those years. Your argument is already over. Nobody just told your body. You're not cold. You're not a coward. There's nothing wrong with you. You are just sitting in a shelter where nobody sounded the siren. So next time, you don't have to win. You don't have to say all of it. You just have to sound your own all clear. One sentence. I'm overloaded. I'll come back Monday. Then walk out of the shelter. If this reached you or reached someone you're thinking about right now, subscribe. We make videos like this every week for people who think too much and just want to breathe again. And if your silence isn't measured in days anymore, but in years, then sitting down with a professional isn't a sign of weakness. It's just inviting one more person into the shelter with you. Thank you for being here.